Pledge allegiance, and the flag is behind you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, all the members are present. Minutes, regular meeting for November 7th and the budget work session for November 8th. Did everybody get an opportunity to look over the minutes? And did anybody see any corrections needed?
The only thing I noticed on the first of both was Mr. Glenn Dion.
Oh, yep.
Oh.
Probably a copy paste.
Thank you, though.
Yes.
We appreciate your eagle eyes.
Anything else? I'll take a motion. Yep. Is there a second? Sandra? All in favor of approval of the November 7th and the November 8th minutes? You voting, Steve?
Pardon?
Were you voting?
Yeah.
5-0. Privilege of the floor, number one. Any agenda items from the audience? Seeing none, thank you. Communications, do we have any communications?
We do not.
Anything for the board? No? Thank you. Administrative report, enrollment and principals report. Shannon?
As you can see from your board packet, we have a jump of 3 students. This month we had a new first grader, a new second grader, and a new third grader come in since November. We're happy to have them. A few news items to share. I have a wonderful card from the Ashland Women's Club. We went, the middle school students, and actually here's a picture of that. Middle school students went and presented to them the Project Week events from last year. So we had a great little talk or conversation during their meeting in October, and they wrote us a thank you and gave us a donation for Project Week in honor of National Education Month, which was fantastic. So I just wanted to share that with you. So thanks to them for supporting us, and it was an awesome afternoon for the kids to talk about that. And they were really, the Ashland Women's Club was really excited to have them there and really loved asking them questions. And some former educators in the group of Ashland Women's Club members, so they had some really good questions for the kids. It was great. Also, we had Jackie McGettigan's daughter works for Vineyard Vines, and they had recently had a promotion where for every Vineyard Vine whale that you took a picture of, colored, and put on on social media, they would provide 1 meal to a student in a identified school with a poverty rate of 95% or better. We had a whole classroom of students who did that, and although we don't qualify to have any of the meals or anything like that, Mrs. McGettigan's daughter came and brought Vineyard Vines stuffed whale foam hats and read them stories. So that was really awesome. So there's a picture of that too. Some great events coming up, and actually that just occurred this week. We just did wreath making with the Ashland Garden Club. That's the intermediate tier students do that, and we make wreaths for all of the businesses that have that provided candy during the Halloween parade. So 40-something wreaths are made, I think. And we just finished, I think we finished delivering them today to all the businesses. So that's a great thing that we do every year. We've got Mrs. Spears, Mrs. Tower, Mrs. Lambert, Mrs. Welsh, Mr. Jones, and Mrs. Ullman are doing holiday decorations for the New Hampshire Veterans Home. They do that every year. We have a toy drive going on right now. Science Center visits continue. Basketball teams had their first games today. Holiday dinner is Thursday, and you're all invited to come. It starts at 11:05. We do like 3 waves, but you can come anytime, and you can always put on an apron and some plastic gloves and help serve. That's always the best. Chief Heath, you're coming, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Until what time?
There's like an 11 o'clock seating and 11:30 and I think 12:05. So within that hour, so it goes until about 12:30. So you're welcome to come. It's delicious.
My day away day. It's always Thursday. Oh, Shannon, always Thursday.
Sorry. We have our winter concert coming up next week, next Thursday. That is going to be, I know, I'm sorry, we scheduled these things on Thursday. I can't help it.
I've had my program 4 years, always on Thursday.
These Thursday dates come way before me.
These have been for 20 years.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So that is sure to be quite an event with our new music teacher. Everything is brand new, everything is exciting and a little different, so we're happy to see what that's going to be like. I'm sure it will be a great show. Staff of the Month this month, Carrie Sanborn and Kent Chapman. I can't say enough about what they do in dealing with not just, you know, helping with our responsive classroom model and helping with our plan and process and positive behavior intervention strategies, but also in dealing with a lot of trauma. Students are coming to us that have a lot of trauma, and we're really having to kind of wrap around and rally everyone that's involved with students to help make sure everybody has the support that they need. And Kent Chapman and Carrie Sanborn are so fantastic at that. And in the check-ins they do with kids and how they work with and reach out to families has made such a huge difference in the school in allowing people to think about things other than, you know, behavior issues and things like that. It's really changed our culture, our system that we put in place, and their work to make sure that's consistently implemented has been amazing. So they are Staff of the Month this month. We gave Perseverance Awards. Each team picked a student that showed perseverance through the whole month of November. We have in kindergarten Colin Toomey. For team integrity, that's Mr. Jones and Ms. Yulman. Olivia Foote. Team loyalty, Ethan McDonald. Team respect, Shelby Montague. In 6th grade, it was Laura Liebert. In 7th, it was Brayson Nevers. And in 8th, it was Jeffrey Lightford. So it was a fantastic month. We did perseverance challenges every month, and if they got the perseverance challenge right, they submitted their name on a ticket, and we pulled a winner every week. So it was really great, and we gave some each Monday very challenging problems that they had to work on, and they had until Thursday to solve them. So the one that we did last week in Mr. Jones and Miss Yulman's room, they worked on it all week long. Every time I went in, all over the board there were charts and graphs, and the kids, and none of them got it solved, but they worked on it the whole week. So I gave them perseverance points for the race because they deserved it, because that's really the whole point. Let's see, we have a PD day coming up, so we have been able to reschedule the trainings that we missed for October 30th. So that's been good. We're doing some math and focus. We're doing some Dreambox math, some Achieve 3000 Smarty Ants training, which is our literacy program, and Epiphany, which is our student portfolio system. Winter rec updates. Thank you to Operation Santa Claus for scholarship assistance for students. We have 43 snowboarders / skiers going to the mountain, 43 skaters, 39 students doing pirate adventures, which will include Top Gun gymnastics, the loft at Tilton Sports Center, with some obstacle course training, some outdoor activities. Hopefully there's some snow, maybe some snowshoeing, and then we have 11 students on campus. I would like to note that the transportation expense has almost doubled this year. When I spoke to the company, they were calculating the cost based on our contract, and I think maybe in the past that wasn't necessarily, it wasn't a calculation like that. It was it'll be $1,800 or it'll be whatever X amount of dollars kind of just rolled in, or not necessarily calculated. So we're working with them to try to minimize costs and maybe see if we can combine a couple groups going in the same general direction to save some money on that, because it's far more than we expected. And we actually included in our fees this year an actual transportation amount so that we could account for some of this, but it's nowhere like we thought. We used last year's amount, which we don't get the bill for that typically till after it happens. From Robertson, we would get a bill after the fact, so we just went with that, knowing it would be close to that, or thinking it might be a little higher, but nowhere near what we thought. So we're working with them now, and the person I've been working with has done a really nice job and followed up pretty quickly, and so we're hoping we can reduce that a little bit with some smart planning. The other thing is we are in the process of ordering a new scoreboard for the gymnasium. We had one that was given to us, but it did not have a control panel. Is that correct? No control panel. And after searching for the control panel, we weren't able to procure that. So we are going to work together, and Mr. Morse, who is our athletic director, and Mr. Paquette, and Mr. Diam, and we are going to find one that we can purchase this week, hopefully. That's the plan. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Can I ask a quick question? How was the craft fair? I didn't get a chance to get over there.
It was not, there weren't as many booths or tables. There were a couple of crafters that pulled out at the last minute due to certain reasons, so it wasn't as successful as it has been in the past. So they were gonna, all of the Ashland kids that were involved in either the snacks and all that stuff, the adult advisors were gonna get together and see if it was really worth, see how much each group made and see if it's really worth the kind of the undertaking moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Financial report, Trish?
Thank you. I just wanted to first let the board know that I dropped binders off for the budget committee at the town hall yesterday afternoon, so they have the budgets in these binders. And we will be presenting on Monday, December 11th at 6 o'clock to the budget committee. And I'm not sure how many board members will be able to attend, but if anybody would like a copy of this binder so you can follow along as we present, happy to do that. I also put at your place this evening a red folder, and that has the updated budget detail from the changes that was made at the work sessions. Included in your packet is a financial report through November 29th. Since your last report, we have spent down or encumbered an additional $21,168. At this time, a little over 94% of the budget has been spent or encumbered. This is about almost 1.5% more than last year at this time, but not unusual. Spending was throughout the budget, with the largest amount in regular ed in response to a decision the board made regarding retirement at the last board meeting. Okay. I also wanted to let you know that your stipend check was also at your place at Amy this evening. Happy holidays.
That's it?
That's all I've got.
Awesome, thank you. Next item is the Withdrawal Study Committee, final report presentation. Mary?
So you have at your place, you have a copy of the Withdrawal Study final report. And the Withdrawal Study Committee, which Mrs. Boyer and Mrs. Liebert were also on the committee. Mrs. Liebert chaired it. The recommendation of the Withdrawal Study Committee is to remain with SAU number 2 with a memorandum of understanding between SAU number 48 and the Ashland School District. Currently, the MOU is in the hands of the Budget and Policy Committee for the Pemmy Baker School District. And I believe they will take some action, is anticipated on December 19th. I did get an update from the superintendent, and he will keep me posted. In addition to that, another recommendation that came out of the work was to develop an Ashland parent and community organization to support students attending Plymouth Regional High School. That was definitely some of the conversation that and part of the study that really rose to the level of needing it as a recommendation, that it's really the goal of the community to support students and to ensure they have a good transition and are able to participate in co-curricular and athletic programs. Also, as a recommendation, is to look to annually survey 9th grade students and find out, in their families, and find out how their transition to the Plymouth Regional High School was, and what their participation rates are in various activities, and then to determine if there's any barriers so that people can try to identify those and help to work to solve those barriers. So the recommendation would be framed in the way of a warrant article at the March, or for the March vote.
to see if the district shall vote to accept the report and recommendation of the Withdrawal Study Committee that the Ashland School District not withdraw from SAU number 2. So if people vote in favor of that recommendation, then the study would be complete. If this does not pass, then the study would have to be reopened again. In the report, there is a summary of the various financials. So a big part of the work was really to look at the financial analysis. And so early on, the committee identified that truly it was trying to better create alignment with SAU 48 as a main objective. And so SAU 48 was looked into as to whether or not Ashland, what it would cost to join SAU 48. We also did have conversations about contracting services with SAU 48. Ultimately, that was not a direction that SAU 48 was interested in pursuing. In terms of in your report, if you turn to page 8, I can share with you just a couple overviews. So on page 8, there is a table, SAU assessment, estimated comparison, Ashland portion. And it compares what would be an estimated to remain with SAU 2. And then it also compares the cost of what we were able to identify in our conversations with SAU 48 is probably a low limit of an additional $175,000 of additional costs for SAU 48 to take on another district, to a high of $200,000. So we were able to create a lower limit and an upper limit. And so what you have on page 8 is you can see the change in potential cost to the Ashland community if it had joined SAU 48. On the next page, on page 9, it has a breakdown of what the costs would be to the other districts that make up SAU 48. And I think that was a big part of the study, is that it's very hard to make the economics work. Obviously the logic makes sense. The students feed into the Plymouth Regional High School, and all of the other K-8s are part of SAU 48 that do feed into Plymouth Regional High School. However, the impact to other communities was difficult to really make it probably something that would be palatable to other communities to increase their costs, as well as the cost was significantly increased for Ashland through this analysis. Then what we did look at is trying to see if there was a way, if Ashland was to pick up the cost. One of the things that we heard throughout our conversations with SAU 48 is that it would really create some tipping points for them in terms of staffing, particularly in the area of human resources and bookkeeping. So one analysis that we looked at is, what if the Ashland community absorbed the cost of a bookkeeper, human resource person to kind of take on the Ashland portion? And so that reduced other costs for other communities. However, there would still be an increased cost to SAU 48 beyond the bookkeeper. And Ashland absorbing all of that cost certainly increased what it would take to do that. So at the end of the day, once the committee had a chance to really look at the cost comparison, it was difficult to make any other decision other than to remain with SAU 2, with the idea that there are things that can be accomplished to meet the ultimate goal, which is to ensure that our students that they have as much alignment with SAU 48 as possible. And so you have in your packet, and I know you've seen it before, the first appendix at the back is the draft MOU. And that's really what the goal of the MOU is, to really accomplish that. And I will say 48 has and continues to be very receptive to how do we keep the conversation going so we can ensure good alignment. And I feel like that we are making good strides to do that, and have certainly At some point, there'll be some change in leadership for SAU 48, but the MOU, I think, is a way of keeping that on the front burner and keeping those objectives, in our forefront so that we can really work to achieve those goals. The report is on the SAU website. It will also be on the school website, and it is on the town website. So our goal will be to try to communicate it to folks. I am hoping that I can speak with Mr. Rule afterwards and maybe talk about doing some kind of notice in the paper or, some kind of article in the paper relative to the outcome of the committee. But, it's one of the things that the board can certainly, it would probably be beneficial for the board to decide if it's in support of the recommendation or if the board had any other insight or direction you would want to propose.
Any discussion among the board? Or I think you guys did a great job. It's a good report. I like the MOU. There's a lot, everything that I think we need as a school to make the alignment happen is there, on both sides.
Thank
Yep.
you.
It was a team effort.
Jefferson with all the numbers.
Yes,
Yep.
he did a great job with the financials.
Yeah, you did.
Financial, the figures are staggering.
They are.
And it's not just, it wouldn't just be Ashland that would have to vote in favor of it. It would be all
No.
of the other communities
Yes.
too. And it's
Yeah.
really hard to convince them to
Sure.
get us to let us in when it's going to cost them more
It's
money.
gonna cost them more
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
That's a hard
Plus
sell.
you have to get all
Hard
the
sell.
communities and two to vote to let us out. It's not just letting us in, you
Yeah.
gotta let us out.
Yep.
It's true.
So I think it's like 12.
I think this is the best.
Yep, 12 or
scenario.
14 towns all would have to vote yes,
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
If one voted no, it
We're
doesn't
done.
work.
Yes.
So I think this is the best scenario. So would you like to make a motion to approve it? Steve, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Sandra? Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? 5-0. Thank you, and thank you for the committee. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Renee. Business of the board, 2018, 2019 budget and warrant articles, informational. Mary?
So we have draft warrant articles. Some of it will be discussed later, but we did want to at least bring to you at this stage a draft of it, and I'll let Ms. Temporino, who did a great job organizing it, run through the
Certainly.
various articles.
So the deliberative session would be February 6th, and the voting session would be March 13th. First article is a standard article regarding choosing the one school board member whose term is up, and that would be Mr. Heath. The second is to set the salaries for the years. The third will be with regards to the collective bargaining agreement, which we are going to discuss later. Article 4 would allow, if Article 3, the collective bargaining agreement fails, to authorize the board to have an additional meeting. Article 5 would be the operating budget and default budget numbers. Article 6, to raise and appropriate money to go into the Facilities Expendable Trust. If my recollection is correct, that would be to raise and appropriate that whole $50,000.
Yep.
Article 7 would be to raise and appropriate $35,000 to be placed in the Special Education Trust, with up to $15,000 to be funded from the unreserved fund balance. And Article 8 is the article Mrs. Moriarty just spoke to regarding the recommendation of the withdrawal stake.
Any questions? Or?
And the board is scheduled on the 19th after the SAU board meeting to vote on the final articles.
So on that meeting on the 19th, we got to make sure at least 3 of us are there so we can have the meeting afterwards.
I'll be there.
19th is on what day?
Tuesday.
It's not a Thursday.
But I think Tuesdays are bad too.
But which Tuesday is it?
The 19th.
No, I know. I mean, for
I think it's
Yeah.
the
I think it's the
Third?
third.
No, it's the third.
Third.
It's the 3rd.
Third Tuesday.
I was just saying that for you because.
Oh, yeah, second
Second and fourth.
one, yes.
Yeah,
I know, that's why Glenn and I had to.
yeah, split.
Yes.
She had
Yeah.
the chairs, so she had to go to her meeting.
So you had to,
And so I went to the SAU meeting.
Yes.
but I said would be short, right?
Well, I said an hour and a half, and we finished right at an hour and a half, so it was a good job. We have nothing to vote on that at this point, right?
Just informational at this stage.
Okay.
And you have, as Ms. Timperino said, the updated budget information in your red folder.
Yep. That meeting for the budget is on Monday, this coming Monday,
Correct.
Correct.
the 11th. Is anybody, I'm going to be there. Is anybody else going to be there? You don't have to.
I have to.
You're on the budget committee.
I'm on the budget committee, yes.
So
More
Sandra,
worried-
there is a binder
more
for you.
about
Okay.
Having a
Okay.
postal meeting in case we have a conversation or something.
Okay. Oh, okay.
That's more.
That's your concern,
my
okay.
concern. My concern is more if we have to have a conversation, should we post the meeting in case we have 3 of us there? We don't have to call a meeting to order, we don't actually have to have a meeting, but at some point, if there's 3 of us in the room, that would constitute a quorum. And if there's a question, we may be able to answer the question or make a modification or a change if we're gonna have enough people there. I don't know how you guys feel about that, or if we wanna post the meeting, or if we wanna, are you gonna be there, are you gonna be there, are you gonna be there?
I cannot get there until probably 6:45.
And I probably can be there,
Okay.
so, but I'm thinking I can be there.
Okay.
I can.
Okay.
So
we'll
we'll post it.
We'll post it, yeah,
Yeah.
just in case.
Yep, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I'd rather be safe than sorry. Then we can always call the meeting to open and then recess the meeting.
Right,
And then if we need to unrecess, and then we can close the meeting.
Perfect.
With nothing.
makes sense.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Memorandum of Understanding between the Ashland School District and the Town of Ashland 150th Anniversary Celebration Committee.
So Ashland is having a birthday, and similar to the 4th of July fireworks, they would like to celebrate with fireworks on July 28th. And we have taken from, there was a memorandum of agreement with the town relative to the 4th of July. So we just basically mirrored that for the celebration. And if the board is in approval of that, and actually we should probably make that that should have been an action item, I apologize. If that's something the board is supportive of, then we would look to support that work.
What is the flavor of the board?
They have, it's the same as the town, right? They have all the insurance,
Right.
it's all the same.
Yes.
There's-
Yes.
Part of the
Yes.
town.
Part of the town, it's actually a town function.
Committees,
And
subcommittee.
Jane was part of the 4th of July committee for many years, so
Has-
she understands what's
Has
going on.
Hell's Gate shot off here before?
They have not,
They have not,
but they just shot off a Christmas parade for
for Plymouth.
Plymouth. And
They didn't burn any houses
No,
down,
they
right?
didn't burn any houses down. And they're
So far, it's been good.
And they've been used in the area.
So it's the
And
same
I-
size as what
Same
Fourth
size.
of July
yeah.
usually does.
And I met with Hell's Gates. Jane asked me to meet with them. We went over the same shots, the same setup that we use for Atlas. So I walked the field with the gentleman and his wife and showed them what we do and then where the cleanup needs to be and where the areas of concern are as far as where the debris falls. So he should be all set to go.
And they'll have somebody there the next day to clean up all
I would
the
assume
junk
Jane
and
is,
everything.
but I can't speak for him. I'm not on the
Okay.
committee.
We will also have to file for a permit, correct?
Yes.
Follow the same procedure as for the.
Well, usually Hell's Gates would file for the
Yeah,
permit.
Tony and I have.
Yeah, Atlas usually files for it, so if they get this, I'm gonna guess Hell's Gate would file for the permit.
Mhm.
Anything else? Do we want to approve it?
I'll make a motion.
Sandra, is there a second? I'll second it. Any other discussion or conversation? If not, all in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Business Superintendent General Operating Expenses. Trish?
In your packet is manifest 2008, There's nothing unusual on there. We have descriptors on the back page, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions on that? Oh, we're not moving around enough. Motion detector. Yeah. There we go. Thank you, Shannon.
That will play well for the television.
Well, it's good because we're saving money.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody forgets to turn off the lights.
Very true.
That's why I love it in the gym. We got home tonight, soon as the first kid walked in, bam, lights are on. You don't have to walk all the way through and up the dark stairs and try to find the switch. That was
That's
so nice, it was great. Sorry.
That's great.
We have a motion to approve the manifest 2008. Deb? Second? Renee? Any other questions? If not, all in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Policies, we got the third and final reading for policy 6166, school district property, policy 6173, instruction of temporary homebound students, policy 6181.1, extended learning opportunities, policy 8345, board member conflict of interest, and policy 9367, quorum. We get a motion to approve those policies for the third and final reading. Deb? Second? Sandra? Questions or comments? If not, all in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Second reading, policy 5144, corporal punishment. Any questions or comments on that? If not, take a motion to approve. Deb? Second? Renee? Thank you.
I'll give somebody else a turn.
I want to go home.
Oh, okay. I got it.
All in favor? 5-0. Policy 5150, notification of rights under FERPA. Take a motion to approve. Deb? Renee seconded. Questions or comments? If not, all in favor? 5-0. Policy 6142.1, internet accessible use. Take a motion to approve. Sandra? Second? Renee? Questions or comments? If not, all in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Approvals of the four, number 2, any item? Anything from the audience? No? Thank you. We have announcements. Tuesday, December 19th, 2017, SEU board meeting, conference room, Humiston Building, public hearing, and SEU board budget approval at 6 p.m. Immediately following that will be the Ashland School Board special meeting to approve our final budget based on the outcome of that budget. Tuesday, January 2nd, 2018, Ashland School Board and at Ashland Elementary School, policy review committee at 5:30 and school board meeting at 6:30.
We do have
non-public or
yes.
non-meeting?
It's up to you. You can do it either way.
We have to discuss the contract, so we can either have a non-public or we can adjourn the meeting.
You may want to come out and actually make a motion, so I'd say go
Okay,
non-public.
go non-public.
Yeah.
So we need a motion to go into non-public. Renee, need a second? Deb? Sandra?
All in favor? All in favor to go into non-public?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We're in non-public.